We are here at Bitcoin Beach. Yes, that is actually the name of this place. This small rural surfing village in El Salvador was the first community to legalize Bitcoin as official tender. And the reason for that is because several years ago, an anonymous American began donating to local NGOs in this area in Bitcoins. Since then, this community has fully embraced cryptocurrency. Their entire ecosystem, the entire community is run on a Bitcoin ecosystem. This area is where all the tourists happen to come. That's where we've seen all these Westerners walking along the beach, enjoying these resorts. You can see all the way down the coast. It really is a stunning area. We're here right on the Pacific Ocean. We're going to be speaking to the officials that run Bitcoin Beach, speak to them about how the embrace of cryptocurrency has brought about more tourism, made life better in this area, and see the general changes that have come about in El Salvador with this unique embrace of Bitcoin, one of the only countries in the world to legalize Bitcoin as official tender. It's just a beautiful place. It really is. It's the kind of place I think that Westerners who come to El Salvador should see. The city is interesting, but the city, San Salvador, is like pretty much any Central American city. Lots of poverty still, run-down infrastructure. This, however, is beautiful. Let's see what people have to say. Let's see how Bitcoin has changed this community. You know that this community was quite poor for a long time. What does it look like now with the adoption of Bitcoin?
So I've been here the first time in 2021, so that was a long time ago, and I've seen that there has so much been done here around here. Like all of the buildings are little tiendas, are little shops that have like a new image, a new logo, and a new sign and stuff like that, or total plazas like shopping centers being built around the street, and the street being built like it was a dirt road before some time. And it's just crazy to seeing this boom in like also tourism and people coming here. Yesterday I talked to some Germans like that. 3 years ago that would have been strange to talk to some Germans, but now people from all around the world are coming, which is I think great for the locals because it creates more work for them, more hotels who need like receptionists or cleaning personnel, but also I think this has another side to it because things like, I don't know if you noticed, like this huge building being built like beach side, and I think what's important in all of this is that we have to respect the culture of the country, and we have to look into how things are being built, because there are some really nice and really luxurious hotels being built on the other side of the river, and they're just included into, I don't know, the mountains, the palm trees, and if you just build like a whole white, big 6, 7, 8 stories thing around there, it just doesn't fit to El Salvador and kind of how the people live here. I mean, you've seen how it is here, and I feel like that's just something that has to be considered in the future.
Roman, you are a local here and you're also influential in founding Bitcoin Beach, is that right?
Yes, I'm one of the founders, yes.
And so take us through why you embraced Bitcoin and why you wanted to, turn your community around using Bitcoin.
I think we're Bitcoin Beach, as you can see, we were already working in the community doing social developing project with the kids, because when we were kids here in this community, we didn't have really hope, we were thinking that we would leave this community, and some people like Mike Peterson or Alex Novoa, they put time in our life, and they help us to thinking different, and they teaching us English, teaching us about surfing. So the project was that, how we can change the mindset of the kids, how we can make the kids thinking different, And so we start providing like tools, like how the kids can learn English, can learn computer skills, how they can go to college if they want. And then in 2019, we're receiving a donation of Bitcoin to teach the community about money, about how fiat money works, And since that, we were running projects for the kids, like, for cleaning the river, cleaning the beach, for being good students. They were rewarding in Bitcoins, and that was like one place here called Mama Rosa. That was the only place that was accepting Bitcoin in 2019. And then the pandemic hit here, and uh, we start like we give like a donation to we give a donation to most of the family here in Zonte. We onboarding into Bitcoin, and that was really cool to what see Bitcoin as a tool,
Yeah.
for when 90% of the people here were on banks.
Right, that was what I was going to ask you next, which is you were saying that before Bitcoin entered this community, 90% of the community didn't even have access to a bank account, and they can't save money. They're not really able to even use money in a proper way. They just have to receive it and get rid of it. So this is really transformational for your area. And is this the first municipality in the world that has tried to adopt a full, a circular Bitcoin economy?
Yeah, it was. There were some projects before Bitcoin Beach, but they didn't succeed, and part of that was because I think the technology was not there. Even us, we were doing everything on chain. For the people that know about Bitcoin, know that Bitcoin have the main network on chain, and then they have the second layer that we call Lightning Network, and Lightning Network it had been a great tool, to onboarding more people, because when you pay, like when you do micropayments and you come to buy a pupusa or a Coca-Cola, it costs you pennies, cents. So that was that's why I think Bitcoin Beach had been one of the first. I would say was the first Bitcoin circular economy. And for the people that doesn't know what the Bitcoin circular economy means, it's a place where you can come and live in a Bitcoin standard, that you can earn, spend, and save in Bitcoin. And I think that is so cool, to see how people that have been on banks for years, right, not having access to the traditional banking system, and now we all are part of Bitcoin, and how Bitcoin is inclusive and how Bitcoin is for everyone, And I think that's the example that Bitcoin Beach proved and showed that Bitcoin could be that tool. But now we have a lot of communities around the world, and don't remember that El Salvador made Bitcoin a legal tender in 2021, and El Salvador became the first country to adopt Bitcoin as a legal tender, and we are here in Bitcoin country.
And so people are being paid for their labor in Bitcoin. You were saying that there's a lot of developments around here, and people are being paid in Bitcoin, and they're able to you're able to pay in Bitcoin at local shops like this.
Yeah.
Can we try it out? Let's try it out here. Yeah, of course.
We're gonna buy a water for Selena. Come on.
Okay. Yeah.
Hola. ¿Qué tal? Hola, me regala. You want a water? Sí. Yeah. Water?
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
2 aguas y una mineral.
And can we use it on this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay.
Gracias.
Pero le tiene que cobrar con el teléfono. En Bitcoin. So this is really cool. So we put signs for all the business here in Bitcoin Beach. That is really easy to see for Bitcoiners, that they can pay in Bitcoin, and for a lot of business that didn't have a logo for their business, we create a logo, to give them, to trying to bring them to the next level, that now with the logo they can do teachers, they can sell teachers, or they can have their staff with, teacher, do stickers, and feel like
they're part of the economy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
And more easy for people to see it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's try.
Let's
pay for this now.
Hola. No, es que el teléfono, porque va a pagar con otra wallet.
Ahorita no, chimbera, espérame, estoy ocupada.
Solo dale el teléfono que cobre. So most of the business have this QR
code, yeah.
But this is for one of the most popular wallet here is Blink. So if you have Blink, you can scan this QR code. But you're gonna pay from Moon to Bitcoin Beach. So they need to create the invoice in their phone.
Yep. Oh, this is brand new for us. And do a lot of people have access to this technology here?
¿Cuánto es?
Okay.
Ya lo puse acá. Ponga la cantidad acá. Ponga 3. Y luego ahí. Send. Now you click send. Escanear. Okay.
Send.
Yeah. Look.
Okay, there we go. Amazing. All right.
Easier.
Very easy. So a lot of people have access to the technology here. There's no is there a barrier still for locals to get the technology to be able to use the Bitcoin economy? How does that work?
I think everyone does, right? That's the purpose of Bitcoin. That is for everyone. It's open source. People only need to have like a smartphone with internet, and they can then download any Bitcoin wallet. But there's still challenge connectivity sometimes, internet, and or you go to some place and say, oh, my plan of internet just expired, I need to rebuy internet. But also, some of the merchants maybe are older and they put some resistance, thinking that they cannot understanding and use it, but once you see it, I always say, like, remember when internet came and WhatsApp came, and our grandparents say, oh, I'm never gonna touch this, I'm never gonna use WhatsApp now. And now our parents or grandparents use WhatsApp, So it's just a matter of time,
And outside of Bitcoin Beach, I want to ask you about nationally. Obviously, the world knows about El Salvador's decision to legalize Bitcoin and make it part of their economy. How quickly do you think the majority of people in El Salvador will be able to adapt and get on Bitcoin?
I think really quickly. There are so many initiatives in terms of education. One of the huge projects that we work in this year with the Minister of Education was that we're training around 400 teachers from the public schools, and these 400 teachers, they training around 7,500 students. And we did the pilot last year with 150 teachers. This year we did 400 teachers, and this is a project that we're working with Bitcoin Beach, My First Bitcoin, and the Minister of Education. And there are so many other initiatives, working in Bitcoin education, like No Nation, like Plan B Network, like Kubo Plus, So I think this year, like I would say like a month ago, we were sitting with the Minister of Education and Stacy Herbert from the Bitcoin office, talking about what is the next plan for the next year in terms of Bitcoin education from the Minister of Education, and that it's crazy if you see it, because I don't think so there is another country where the Minister of Education is sitting in a meeting talking about Bitcoin, how to implementing more Bitcoin education into the education system in the public into the public school. So I think it's just a matter of time, that more people are getting into Bitcoin, more merchants are seeing the benefit to getting into Bitcoin, and places like have tourism. We're talking today about the Bitcoin tourism that we have now.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. You're also involved in real estate in this area. What have you noticed about, investors from the United States, maybe some from Canada as well, seeing this place as a place that they want to invest in, they want to get into the real estate market? Is that largely because of the Bitcoin initiatives?
Oh, 100%. And that is something that you don't see in the media, the number of people that actually are investing here, or they're having El Salvador as a plan B, or a lot of people are approaching El Salvador as startups, that early stage startups, that want to get, everyone knows real estate is booming, but also a lot of people are just coming here because El Salvador is Bitcoin country, and investing in real estate is a way of supporting what El Salvador is doing, what the government is doing, And I think it's also a dream for many people that to buy a house, buy a property in the first country that make Bitcoin a legal tender, and it's also a dream to traveling with your Bitcoin to purchasing a property, and that's I think is really cool, and is happening a lot. A lot of Bitcoiners that maybe Bitcoiners are hard to spend Bitcoin, right? Like maybe they don't want to buy a real estate with Bitcoin in the USA or in Canada, but a lot of people are willing to come here and buy a house, buy a property, and paying with Bitcoin is way more easier, than the traditional way, wiring international wires, and yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah. The last question I have for you, I want to know if we can just walk a little
Yeah.
bit more about
Yeah.
the initiatives you're doing with youth, because that I think is really important. So, in your presentation you gave to us just a short while ago, you mentioned the initiatives that Bitcoin Beach is doing for youth, and not just teaching them English, but also letting them learn how to surf and getting them outside. Explain why you feel that's so important for the community.
I think we have 4 pillars. We have the education pillar, where we give access to English classes, computer classes, Bitcoin education, like, that is our pillar in education. Then we have the recreation pillar, where kids need to have fun, need to enjoy, have quality time, and this quality time can look like different for everyone, right? And then we have the pillar of technology. Technology is expose kids with the new technologies that are coming, like Bitcoin, like programming, like access to what is coming, what is next, And then we have the spirituality part. That the spirituality part is really important for us. We're a Christian organization, but also understanding and trying to teach kids that as you train in your mind, you read for your brain, you do exercise for your muscle, you eat healthy for your body, but it's what you do for your soul, And understanding that if you are good inside, if you have God, if you have love, you will be able to do more for people. And I think it's something that we need to teach, but also for us, not to remember that the happiness is not coming from outside, but a lot of time it has to come from your own way of thinking and how you feel, and so that is really important. And I think if we want to create kids that are like kids that will be the future, for the leaders for our community, we need to fulfill all these areas, like education, Bitcoin education, recreation, spirituality, quality time, and then you will have like kids that have different tools in different areas that they can put together these tools to do something good for their life, I think Zonte will be the example for many ways. I think is a lot of communities will take example from this. This is ground zero for Bitcoin, but there are like a lot of. We have good surfing, we have good community. It's a good mix of expats and locals. It's a good proof of work that how Bitcoin can improve the life of the locals. And I think Zonte will grow a lot in the next years, and that open opportunities for a lot of the locals, in terms of, I would love to see the locals get involved in the business, creating products, service, for all the people that are coming, and making our dreams come true here without have to leave,
So we're here with Mike Peterson, someone who is very influential in starting Bitcoin Beach. You're a part of the team now. Why did you want to start Bitcoin Beach, and why here?
Well, right here, I was living here. I'd been living here for actually about a house here 20 years ago, and been living here for the past 10 years. So we were already working in the community, and so we saw firsthand a lot of the ways that the current financial system was kind of holding people back in El Salvador. Just the amount of money they spent trying to receive remittances from the U.S., the lack of ability to engage with the banking system, lack of access to capital, really no way to invest and save money. And so we felt like by switching to Bitcoin, it would give people here a real opportunity to invest in the future and kind of think longer term.
And we understand that the president of this country used Bitcoin Beach and used the kind of the pilot project you guys ran here as inspiration to change the laws in the country to embrace Bitcoin. What has that change looked like on the ground with people, locals, businesses?
Yeah, obviously, it always makes it easier if the government is on the same side of you than against you. And we don't, we've never been someone that puts our faith in government. We think Bitcoin is a grassroots effort, but obviously the government here gets it. They see the bigger picture, and so they've been very helpful by coming along. And when they made the pronouncement that it was going to be adopted as legal tender, that opened up a lot of opportunities for much broader expansion of what was happening in the small community here. And it's brought an influx of capital and investors from around the world, and now we're seeing an influx of expats that are coming. They want to kind of build a future here. They're bringing their families, and so I feel like it's really kind of cemented El Salvador as Bitcoin country.
How have you found the adoption of Bitcoin and using the technology? Has it been quick, or has it been a slow process? Because we've paid for waters and other items using Bitcoin while we're here, and it seems everybody has picked it up. But how has that been a big learning curve for the locals here?
Yeah, it's definitely a big learning curve, and it depends where you go in El Salvador. I see here in Zonte, where Bitcoin Beach started, it's very easy to use Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. There's other places in the country you go where a lot of the stores won't accept Bitcoin, and that's something that I expected, because changing the whole way you interact with the financial system and what you think of as money is something that's takes time to change. And so even for a lot of people in the Bitcoin space, it took them 5 to 10 years to really understand Bitcoin and the power that it has to kind of transform the monetary system in the world. And so we've kind of seen that same in El Salvador. There's early adopters, there's people who get it early, but there's also lots of skeptics or people that they don't want to try something new. They have something that kind of works for them, and so it takes them seeing how much better Bitcoin works. A lot of times they'll see their friends or they'll see businesses that embraced it, the way they're prospering, and so then that kind of brings them on board, because they're like, oh, I'm going to be left behind here. And so yeah, I think it's something that early on everybody's like, oh, because it didn't happen overnight, it was a failure. It's like, no, this is like a decade-long transformation, and I think we're actually ahead of schedule.
And do you think that's part of the reason why the country is getting a lot of attention internationally? A lot of people are trying to invest in this country. Like, what is the big pull that is bringing people to this country to try to buy property, lay down new roots? What is it that is pulling people in?
Yeah, I mean, when they adopted Bitcoin as legal tender, they totally turned the narrative about El Salvador on its head. Before, it was known as like murder capital and crime and gangs, and all of a sudden it became the country that was embracing a new monetary system, embracing technology. And not only that, you had all these reporters descending on El Salvador, doing stories about it. Even the ones that were like negative and biased against Bitcoin showed pictures of the beautiful beaches and the smiling people, and so it's brought this huge influx of tourists and venture capitalists. And then once they come here, and they're on the ground, they see what an amazing country it is, and so then they really want to invest. And so I think it's really gotten the word out of us. Before, people couldn't even point out El Salvador on a map. It really did put El Salvador on the map. And then now there's just so many natural beauties and resources that El Salvador has, especially the people here. And so once people see that, they realize, okay, Bitcoin was the thing that got them down here, but there's so much more. And so so we're seeing this huge transformation, and it's transformed just the outlook of the people. People used to be trying to get out of El Salvador, to the U.S. Now they see this influx of people from around the world, and it makes them think, oh wow, maybe we are in the place, we're lucky to be here, and so let's build a future here, let's invest in our communities. And so we've seen those kind of like animal spirits rise up and really transform the country.
All right, well, we've had an incredible day getting to explore Bitcoin Beach, talk to the people that are organizing this transformation, and as well talking to some people who are here studying and investigating this area for their own purposes, because really it's a unique place. As I said before, this is the first municipality in the world to legalize Bitcoin. They have fully embraced Bitcoin. It is a circular Bitcoin economy here. The people are being paid in Bitcoin. Businesses are conducting operations in Bitcoin, and even the shacks on the side of the street here are selling waters with Bitcoin. There is no barrier to access. There's no barrier to the technology that is required to embrace the Bitcoin ecosystem in this small municipality. And one thing that is clear is that this municipality, El Zonte, Bitcoin Beach, is attracting all the tourists. We were wondering where all the tourists were in San Salvador, in the main city. They're not there. They're here. They're here looking at the beautiful ocean, the hotels. This entire area is run on tourism. And it's also important to note the transformations that have taken place in this area, in Bitcoin Beach, with the embrace of Bitcoin. Before this city, before this municipality embraced Bitcoin, over 90% of the population here were unbankable. They were not given bank accounts. They were too poor to have bank accounts. They were excluded from the global financial system. But with Bitcoin, everybody is included in the system. They now have access to digital money. They now have the ability to save money. This is transformational for this area, and Bitcoin Beach, as a test run for El Salvador to embrace Bitcoin, has clearly proven to be successful. Well, that wraps up our coverage here at Bitcoin Beach in El Salvador and our coverage from El Salvador. Signing off from Bitcoin Beach for True North, Harrison Faulkner.